welcome. I'd like to begin this episode with a short quote from Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who recently passed. And before going into the quote, just to acknowledge what Thai said about death. There was a recent clip posted by the Plum Village YouTube channel where Thai talked about a cloud and mentioned how a cloud can never die. That a cloud disperses rain or snow, ice, then the snow melts, the ice melts, water returns to water. And then from water a cloud is formed once again. And the essence of what he was saying was, with the energy that is, which is the form that we can see, we can perceive, and the unperceived energy, there is only a continuation of this, there is only a transformation, just as the cloud continues into rain. And that's a clip you can watch on the Plum Village YouTube channel, where of course it's a very timely clip they've uploaded there, just to share his wisdom on that. So this quote really resonated with me, and not too long ago, perhaps a couple of days prior, there was mention about perhaps it was a thought that was shared with somebody, the skill of relaxing. Perhaps I even used the words the art of relaxing. Something that's becoming more difficult to do, especially within myself, and perhaps if I'm able to talk on behalf of others as well, that perhaps generally speaking you can perhaps see this in the people around us, that how often do we see ourselves or people around us just fully relaxed? And this is the quote. It's very important that we relearn the art of resting and relaxing. Not only does it help prevent the onset of many illnesses that develop through chronic tension and worrying, it allows us to clear our minds, focus, and find creative solutions to problems. So this quote spoke to me, and what I wanted to share with you. I'll read it once more. It's very important that we relearn the art of resting and relaxing. Not only does it prevent the onset of many illnesses that develop through chronic tension and worrying, it allows us to clear our minds, to focus, and find creative solutions to problems. And that was by the Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. perhaps we can delve into this quote just for a moment, just to perhaps allow Ty's words there to absorb. Quite often we can read something, listen to something, and there's a part of us that acknowledges that, yes, that this is true, I will do something about this, or yes. But often it can stop there. It stops at the pleasantness of the words and the making sense, and I need to relax more, and perhaps we can honour his words with just really taking them in. The first thing that comes to my mind is the huge spectrum of the body and the gap between where the body is tense or stressed and when it is relaxed. There is a huge contrast there. There is obvious contrast in, feeling the muscles tight, or feeling that there's chronic pain, there's headaches, or there is other aches, pains. Sometimes when the body is not relaxed, the mind is not relaxed, and that can also cycle back into the body, inform the body that it's not okay to be relaxed. And often Tai talks about mind and body. So perhaps for a moment we can reflect upon times when the body is not relaxed. Are there clear parts of the day when the body is not relaxed, and just connect with that for a moment, if possible, just to what the body goes through in those moments. We're so used to tension and we're so used to stress, but really it's a big event in the body. Lots of chemicals and the body trying to rebalance itself. And perhaps we can honour the moments when the body is relaxed, and it's a big deal. it's something to not to overlook. That relaxation is a healing, that it's a medicine. It may not be a medicine, it is a medicine for the immediate moment, immediate relief. And it is also a medicine for preventing illness in the body. That some illnesses, they're a result of 30 years, decades of tension and stress in the body. So moment by moment, if the body is relaxed, more moments of checking in with the body. Eckhart refers to it as also, I guess this is a little bit separate but connected to the body, the inner body, by connecting to that as well. You are in tune with the energy of the body, not just the physical energy, but the subtle energies of the body. And we've just some simple awareness. There's no need to remember. There's no need to try and relax. It's a bit of a paradox, because at first it may feel like trying. We may take a deep breath in, may roll our shoulders back and try to relax. But there may be the steps needed for the moment to bring in some resting and relaxation to the body, as Tai says there. The art of resting and relaxing. That's a key word there, where it's not, yes, we can sit in a comfortable chair, we can, roll our shoulders back, take a deep breath, but often it's an art, it's almost an invitation to relax versus, putting our body into the gear of relaxation, which itself is a bit of a tension on a very subtle level. And with being aware of resting and relaxation, there is a depth to it as well. A depth, just like the inner body. At first, you may feel a very subtle relaxation in the body, where you're trying to relax, or you're either lying on the bed or on the floor, on a mat, or sitting in a chair. And part of the relaxation process is to acknowledge the tension in the body, to acknowledge I can feel it now as I sit here. I don't feel like I'm tensing on the body, but I can feel a tension in the shoulders. I can feel perhaps a little bit of tightness in the chest. If it's ever so subtle, it's there. And as we gradually move more into the space of resting and relaxation, and it could be you're waiting in a grocery queue, you're waiting, or you're sitting in your car waiting in traffic, and yes, you can rest and relax the body. You can rest and relax the body in movement, in walking. Is there a way you can walk without tension in the body? Even walking at a hurried speed. That's another art there as well. So we can have moments where we take time out, even schedule 10 minutes just to sit, close our eyes, and just rest for 10 minutes, where we're not talking to somebody, we're not interacting with a screen. Just 10 minutes to give ourselves the medicine of resting and relaxing. When this is not, when this is seen for what it is, the effect, the impact of resting the body, then it won't be overlooked anymore. That resting and relaxing becomes just as important, or even more, than what we previously labelled as important, an important phone call or an important social interaction with somebody else. That I must do this and that. But then, before that happens, I need to relax. and imagine that even, as we develop in the art of resting and relaxing, there sometimes a minute will be very rejuvenating to us, or it's a minute going into a difficult conversation, or a minute before exiting your house. Maybe that's a difficult situation to get out of the house into the busyness of the world. Maybe at the door, just for 30 seconds, just allow everything to go. And just become aware of the body, what the body is doing, how the body is breathing, if there's tension in the body in that moment. And also, Tai mentions in this quote that it allows us to clear our minds and focus. That's another lost art in this time. It's very easy to be determined and to try and focus and concentrate, but how much of our minds are being used, how much of our minds are worrying about something else while trying to do something. Just hearing my tap seems to be dripping more and more, so let me just turn that off and I'll continue. This is the advantage sometimes of having my simple setup of a microphone plugged into my phone. It allows me to there we go. So with being able to clear our minds and focus it, you're giving your full attention to the task you are doing, whether it's reading an email, talking to somebody on the phone, writing something. And with having the clear mind and focus, there is almost a relaxation in that as well. The activity will feed back to you that relaxation is happening here, and it would come back almost as a joy. And just like the cloud and the water, the vapor of the water going back into the cloud, and the energy continues through the task and returns to you in some way. That's what I'm feeling at the moment. And this happens as I record. The recording happens. Relaxation is needed for it. Perhaps this is not something I've acknowledged previously before reading this quote. But so the art of resting and relaxing. And the last bit of the quote, just to end this part of the episode, is that creative solutions arise to problems. It's in the moment of relaxing, and with relaxing and awareness, the presence, solutions arise. What action is needed, what needs to be said, it will come to you there in that moment. And that also goes for non-action. A creative solution could be to do nothing, say nothing. Happens more and more where you perhaps heard other people have said it, that it just came out of nowhere, the thought of, why didn't I think of that before? It could be in a small pocket of relaxation, whether you're just in the shower and your warm water hits you, and then suddenly there's the solution to that problem. And then there's a story being told. I was in the shower and it just came to me. How amazing was that? But it's in that moment of non-trying, non-tension. Even concentration, if it's done in a way outside of awareness, where awareness is not part of that, then even concentration is tension and stress. But in resting and relaxing, the openness of that, you are accessing the open intelligence, the unlimited intelligence. Creative solutions arise. Okay, so just going to now move into continuing a new earth. And we are in the chapter titled Breaking Free, and we have reached a passage titled The Pain Body as an Awakener. At first sight, it may seem that the pain body is the greatest obstacle to the arising of a new consciousness in humanity. It occupies your mind, controls and distorts your thinking, disrupts your relationships, and feels like a dark cloud that occupies your entire energy field. It tends to make you unconscious, spiritually speaking, which means totally identified with mind and emotion. It makes you reactive, makes you say and do things that are designed to increase the unhappiness within yourself and the world. As unhappiness increases, however, it also causes increasing disruption in your life. Perhaps the body can't take the stress anymore and develops an illness or some dysfunction. Perhaps you become involved in an accident, some huge conflict situation or drama that was caused by the pain body's desire for something bad to happen, or you become the perpetrator of physical violence, or it all becomes too much and you cannot live with your unhappy self anymore. The pain body, of course, is part of that false self. Whenever you get taken over by the pain body, whenever you don't recognize it for what it is, it becomes part of your ego. Whatever you identify with turns into ego. The pain body is one of the most powerful things the ego can identify with, just as the pain body needs the ego to renew itself through it. That unholy alliance, however, eventually breaks down in those cases where the pain body is so heavy that the egoic mind structures, instead of being strengthened by it, are becoming eroded by the continuous onslaught of the pain body's energy charge. In the same way that an electronic device can be empowered by an electric current, but also destroyed by it if the voltage is too high. People with strong pain bodies often reach a point where they feel their life is becoming unbearable, where they can't take any more pain, any more drama. One person expressed this by saying plainly and simply that she was fed up with being unhappy. Some people may feel, as I did, that they cannot live with themselves anymore. Inner peace then becomes their first priority. Their acute emotional pain forces them to disidentify from the content of their minds and the mental emotional structures that give birth to and perpetuate the unhappy me. They then know that neither their unhappy story nor the emotion they feel is who they are. They realize they are the knowing, not the known. Rather than pulling them into unconsciousness, the pain body becomes their awakener, the decisive factor that forces them into a state of presence. However, due to the unprecedented influx of consciousness we are witnessing on the planet now, many people no longer need to go through the depth of acute suffering to be able to disidentify from the pain body. Whenever they notice they have slipped back into a dysfunctional state, they are able to choose to step out of identification with thinking and emotion and enter the state of presence. They relinquish resistance, become still and alert, one with what is, within and without. The next step in human evolution is not inevitable, but for the first time in the history of our planet, it can be a conscious choice. Who is making that choice? You are. And who are you? Consciousness that has become conscious of itself. The next passage is titled Breaking Free of the Pain Body. A question people frequently ask is, how long does it take to become free of the pain body? The answer is, of course, that it depends both on the density of an individual's pain body as well as the degree or intensity of that individual's arising presence. But it is not the pain body, but identification with it that causes the suffering that you inflict on yourself and others. It is not the pain body, but identification with the pain body that forces you to relive the past again and again and keeps you in a state of unconsciousness. So a more important question to ask would be this: how long does it take to become free of identification with the pain body? And the answer to that question is, it takes no time at all. When the pain body is activated, know that what you are feeling is the pain body in you. This knowing is all that is needed to break your identification with it. And when identification with it ceases, the transmutation begins. The knowing prevents the old emotion from rising up into your head and taking over not only the internal dialogue, but also your actions as well as interactions with other people. This means the pain body cannot use you anymore and renew itself through you. The old emotion may then still live in you for a while and come up periodically. It may also still occasionally trick you into identifying with it again, and this does obscure the knowing, but not for long. Not projecting the old emotion into situations means facing it directly within yourself. It may not be pleasant, but it won't kill you. Your presence is more than capable of containing it. The emotion is not who you are. When you feel the pain body, don't fall into the error of thinking there is something wrong with you. Making yourself into a problem, the ego loves that. The knowing needs to be followed by accepting. Anything else will obscure it again. Accepting means you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you are feeling at that moment. It is part of the isness of the now. You can't argue with what is. Well, you can, but if you do, you suffer. Through allowing, you become what you are, vast, spacious. You become whole. You are not a fragment anymore, which is how the ego perceives itself. Your true nature emerges, which is one with the nature of God. Jesus points to this when he says, be ye whole, even as your Father in heaven is whole. The New Testament's be ye perfect is a mistranslation of the original Greek word, which means whole. This is to say, you don't need to become whole, but be what you already are, with or without the pain body. So that brings us to the end of the passage and also the chapter as well. So that was chapter 6, breaking 3. So a key moment there in this, I'll begin with the latest passage we read, breaking free of the pain body. So the key acknowledgement that came to me here was not breaking free of the pain body, but breaking free of the identification of pain body. And experiencing the knowing of this moment. The knowing the isness of this moment. So the pain body is here. The emotions are here, and it's the knowing, the acknowledging with it. And this is all that is needed to break free of the pain body. And Eckhart does say that old emotion may still live in you for a while and come up periodically. Again, it's acknowledging the years of conditioning, years of fueling the emotions or the thoughts of the past, of painful events that have happened. And it may also still occasionally trick you into identifying with it again, and thus obscure the knowing. But Eckhart says, but not for long. So there'll be a moment when presence will return and we can acknowledge what has just happened there, the obscuring of the present moment, the identifying with the pain body. And it said, when facing it directly within yourself, it may not be pleasant, but it won't kill you. That your presence is more than capable of containing it. That the emotion is not who you are. So the space around. So with the awareness there, no matter how intense the pain body is, there's just an acknowledgement that of the intensity, that you are not losing yourself in that intensity. That you can acknowledge that there is great overwhelm here, that there is great pain. And of course that there will be moments when at first the spaciousness will be there, the disidentification will be there, and then in less than a blink of an eye you've identified again. And that of course is fine. It seems part of the process, the path there. Again, it's not being, there's no achievement here, no perfection. There's just this moment. There's not identifying with the thought that, oh, here comes the pain body, I'm going to be overtaken again, here it comes. And No, there is just simply being aware in this moment, not creating another thought structure about previous times the pain body has overtaken you. That, in some ways, that's pain body itself. It's another layer added, subtly added to the pain body. It can often be this way, and maybe it's another way of the mind tricking you, is giving you a thought about previous pain bodies, but really you slipped back in there, into that pain once again. And that thought can lead to, it overtook me last time. What's the point of life anymore? It's incredible how we can jump from one spectrum of thought to another. I think Eckhart shared that in a talk where I think he was just talking about the activity of thoughts, and how we can have a thought of wonder what's for dinner tonight, and suddenly that can lead to a few thoughts down the road of what's the point in my life at this moment. So just being aware of this moment, and when the pain body arises, in most of us, it's a question of when it arises, the practice, the attention will be there, the awareness will be there, and perhaps the spaciousness will already be there as the pain body arises, and it will be acknowledged in that space. I can sense the movement here. I can sense some heaviness arising. And other times you may catch yourself mid-sentence, or in an angry outburst, or just after it you may, that was, why did I react that way? And of course there was a reaction not just to the event, but to the pain body, all of the pain reacting to, channeled into that situation. And in that moment you return. There may be a thought of, I should have caught myself in that moment. I allow that thought to be. And you are just simply allowing this moment, taking care of this moment. No matter what has happened leading up to this moment, in this moment, that is all there is, the isness of now. And in the first passage, it was using the pain body as an awakener. There, I believe Eckhart has said it's almost like an alarm clock when presence is lost, the pain body. Feels like it's happening to me in this way in regards to mental health for me. That it's coming to a place of something of the word that Eckhart uses in here that was quite telling, something I related to. So for me it gets to a state of, that you can't take this anymore. Gets to a critical state, and there's no choice but to be present the only way, sometimes it's the only survival out of the insanity of mind. Eckhart says here in the passage that with the evolution of consciousness that it may not take people to get to that stage of suffering to awaken, that now there perhaps there is a choice to step out into becoming present. So perhaps I can relate to this as well. So perhaps there's a bit of both going on, I feel, in my situation, where at times it's the breaking point of such suffering that you almost break through into presence. There's no other exit. It comes to that point. And then at times it can feel like a choice as well. I can feel the dysfunction, and there's a choice to step into presence. Okay. So I'd like to just end the episode by just rereading the quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, and I thought that would be a good way to wrap up this episode here. It's very important that we relearn the art of resting and relaxing. Not only does it help prevent the onset of many illnesses that develop through chronic tension and worrying, it allows us to clear our minds, focus, and find creative solutions to problems. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. I wish you well in this one moment, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.